only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. Let's go. I'm just telling you to fight for your dreams, but it's not what it seems. Man, it's hard to be seen when everybody wants to be king. Yeah, they all want a ring. Yeah, we all want to be free.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Lions Nation Unite, where we talk all things Detroit Lions news and rumors. I am much better than I was feeling last week. I felt like boot cheeks. And guess what, folks? Today, we're beginning these little mini camps here. But before we talk about that, we got my guy, Ant-Man, Roar Lions UK, all the way across the pond. What's up, brother?
Hey, I'm doing good, Mike. I've missed these little shows with you, but I've had a little bit of time off in May and just trying to refresh the old batteries because they're very taxing. This is what we do, and after the draft, when you've just worked hours and hours and hours and hours and days and days and days, you need a break. But I'm back. I'm refreshed, ready to go. Let's do it.
Yeah, folks, I don't think a lot of people see that people do videos or streams that's like an hour stream, and that's all it takes. There is a lot of work behind it, and especially when you're a smaller channel, it takes a long time to grind to get to that point. And man, so make sure you check out Roar Lions UK. Make sure you check out Ant-Man. These guys are putting in a lot of work and deserving a lot more views. So check their channel out, Roar Lions UK. Get these guys going, man. Help them, man. It's tough. It's a lot of hours they put in. He probably puts in 60 hours a week. He's not gaining a whole lot. So show up there, show some love to my man right there. A little bit before we get into the show, I am building a half of studio, and so hopefully by the time the NFL season begins, you can see a different setup, both green screen and not green screen. That's what I'm working for as well. And I hired somebody to be my producer on game day. So we are going to be having a better experience on game day. Super excited. Less work for me to do, more fun for you guys to have. So let's go ahead and get into minicamp right now. Ant-Man, what are you looking forward to minicamp? Finally, it's the vets. It's not OTAs. It's rookies. They're all together trying to make some noise.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the part where it starts to get fun again. You've sort of got the boring little bits out of the way now. Everybody's coming back, but I think for me this year, you're looking at the areas where this team needs to adapt to get to that next level. You're looking at your secondary guys, you're looking patiently at your edge rushers, etc. Like the defense would probably be where I'm focusing a lot on come here. Now, obviously, there's only so much you can take away from these camps. I try not to get carried away with a lot of it all, but you kind of want to see how the secondary guys are bedding in because they're all new pretty much. This is brand new, revamped. You want to see that they're getting some cohesion, they're working well together. You want to see the rookies are getting on good. So that's what I'm going to be looking at for a lot over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking for, I want to just make sure that the secondary here is kind of really what I'm paying attention to. How are these players looking in this scheme? And so far in OTAs, we've seen nothing but good. And so that's what I want to see here in minicamp. And Hendon Hooker, how is he doing as the backup quarterback? Can he continue to take a step forward? Because I think that, this minicamp here, it's important, but I think it's important for more different reasons on specific players like a Hooker. And so I'm really excited to see what he can do there. And as we prep for the preseason, he's going to go out there and he's going to get majority of the snaps. So we need more snaps for Hendon Hooker as he's our backup quarterback. Hopefully nothing happens to Jared Goff, but he needs those snaps.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm trying to remain very level-headed with Hooker at the minute. Like they say, when it comes to OTAs and the early training and that, I've seen the full hokey cokey done on Hendon Hooker so far. People have been in, out, shaking it all about. Like he's been good, he's been bad, he's been this, he's been the other. Like he's still quintessentially a rookie. Kind of like J-Mo in his first year. He is quintessentially a rookie going through his first off-season program. First time he's thrown a ball in a long time, first time he's done all this sort of stuff. And you kind of it's going to be rough for him, and it's going to take time for him to bed in. But like that's the whole point of this. At the minute, getting them fit and in shape is pretty much what this is all about. This is not them making worldy plays, showing mid-season form, and like everyone's gearing and ready to go. This is getting in shape. This is just showing you learning, getting your techniques right, etc. As long as you see progress that way, I don't really care if they're absolutely blowing it, blowing the roof off with their performance. You just want to see gradually 1% every day, a little bit better. And then that's what it is for him. But he's had a long layoff, and this entire offseason process is going to be big for him. Like you say, when you get to preseason, that's when you want to see how much has gone in, how's he picking up the scheme, how's he feeling confidence-wise. But we have a long way to go until this point. But yeah, this is critical for him. We want him to be a good level backup for us if Goff goes down. So yeah, it's going to be an important time for him.
Huge shout out to Sergeant Curtis Schultz. Thank you for serving your country, our country. We love veterans here. I'm a veteran myself, so we absolutely love it. Thank you for serving our country and all the veterans out there as well. If you're listening, we do appreciate you 110%. I'm excited to see Hooker this preseason. So my mainstream media is still media, and they all have an agenda 110%. And I think that a lot of people see through that, and that's what's making this YouTube, the back channels of media starting to really explode as YouTube is kind of kicking their butt. And I think just the average person realizes, at this point, a lot of people have agendas in the mainstream. Very good evening to all 21 of you. Yeah, good evening to everybody. You slowly get in here, smash that like button. It does help out, and we will do an ultra combo for sure if we get it done. Just like that right there. Yeah, man, I'm really excited for something that we haven't really been able to see yet, and that's the defensive line. So this is not OTA, it's going to be minicamp, and now we get to see, we be hearing about speed. These guys has been in shorts and all that type of stuff. I think we can get a little bit more information on this defensive line, and I'm looking to hear what Marcus Davenport, what Matthew Betts is doing, the edge on the opposite side. I want to see John Kaminsky. Can he take a step forward? Joshua Pascal, new defensive line coach, Terrell Williams. I want to see this defensive line. We haven't really heard a whole lot this offseason. What are you wanting to see, in minicamp here?
Just, again, you want the competition to drive up the levels of performance. You want past, if you think you've got Davenport, if he stays healthy throughout the entire offseason, he's playing good. If Pascal is playing well, if Houston comes back and shows his, he's not lost a bend, he's not lost those elite traits that take him over the edge. These guys are going to push and test one another. And of course, they're going up against the best right tackle in the NFL, and he's paid as such now, and a very damn good left tackle. They're going up against a good line, practicing there. So you just want to see the competition levels come through with them. And most importantly, you want to see them stay healthy. Like Houston, Pascal, Davenport, injuries of like Banjaxed a lot of them. That's been the issue. Like we've had the guys, but they've just not been well. They've been hurt. So from the edge room, you just want to see them stay healthy primarily and get through to that preseason period where you can give them game snaps and get them up there and get them doing what they need to do. And then the interior is pretty big as well because, we've got our pair there. We've got DJ Reader. We've got Aleem McNeil. But, this is the year when you want to be developing the depth in your room as well. You want to see the competition there. This is going to be Broderick's year, hopefully. Yep. Like, Year 2, Year 3 was always going to be Broderick's time scale. He was never going to do anything year 1. He's had his year to bed in, to see how the NFL system works, just to have a little bit of game time. And now this is where he starts making progress forward. He's got 2 very good mentors in the room with him. So hopefully that year has put him in good stead, and you're going to see him start making steps forward as well. So, it's critical for them all. For the edge room, we need a starter. For the interior, we need to see that depth emerge. So, yeah, it is very important time for the defensive line for sure. But, hopefully the coaching's going to get you there.
Sergeant Curtis Schultz, $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Says, love my fellow vets. All the power of positivity works. Hashtag Detroit Lions, man. That's awesome. Thank you so much for that super chat. You are an absolute real one. And again, as we know, we love our veterans here. And I know people in the comments are saying that Anthony is a closet Army fan. Well, folks, yes, he is. He was in the United Kingdom, but I got to tell you, I served with Brits over in Iraq. They're over there too, just like we are. We were doing convoys and we were talking to them in between convoys, and they had me laughing my ass off. So yes, even though he's not from the United States, they still love their veterans over there. They do the same stuff that we do and the same operations as well. So we definitely appreciate it. We're literally like cousins, right? The United States and the United Kingdom, we're like cousins. So
we're not all that bad, are we? I believe if I know that rightly, that'll be Brent. He's an Army Black Knights fan. College football, we have this.
Thank you, because I was a Black Knight in the Army. Well, first of the 126 Cav, the Black Knights. So
yeah. Hey, there you go.
Yeah, we love Black Knights. Let's see. Hashtag FGB Devin Davis. Do you all think that Brian Branch is going to get better than he was last year, if that is possible? Yes, he's only going to get better. It was a rookie year, and he's going to continue to learn and develop his skills. That's just what it is. I think it's, where do they put him? Is he going to be continuing to go all over the defense, or are they going to kind of sit him at one spot? That's more questions to be had right there. They did a lot of safety blitzes too. Are they going to continue to do that? Or now do they feel like the personnel is good enough where they don't have to do that? What do you think about Brian Branch and his development?
Like you say, he's going to get better. We've not had it good over the years in terms of draft picks and prospects before Brad. Like we've seen guys play well, but they very quickly hit a ceiling, and we don't think they can get better. But the whole point of drafting so well and getting these elite top tier players is to carry on getting better. Like Penny, everyone's like, can Penny get any better after his first few years? Yeah, he's the best tackle in the league now. Like, that's how good he's got. Can Amon-Ra keep getting better? Yeah, Amon-Ra keeps adapting and getting better. These guys, the only ceilings they have are the ones they set themselves, and Branch is in that mold. And I think with him, it's just as long as you don't get too cute with him. Like, you don't start asking him to do a ton of different things. Like, the whole reason of getting the 4 guys this year, the 2 vets and the 2 rookies at corner, mean we can use Branch more to his strengths. Now, that's not to say he's not a versatile guy. Of course he's a versatile guy. But ideally, you want to put him where he's at his most dangerous. Correct. And you want to be able to do that as much as you can. And if, like, the rookies don't perform or someone gets injured and you need to move him around, fine. But, like, this year, if we can give him a little bit of continuity with what he's doing in the right position, he is going to get better with experience. That's what these guys do. The more snaps they take, the better they get generally. So I expect to see him keep getting better and better. Like, this could be potentially a huge year for him. So yeah, I again, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he can do year 2.
Yeah, you make an extremely valid point about how you don't want to use him too much everywhere, because I think if you give him too many duties, it can start to kind of, the game may be a little bit less and less because he's just thinking a little bit too much. So I'm with you right there. Let's make sure that he has a spot for sure, because I think he's a player that can play multiple positions, and you get teams that take players like an Isaiah Simmons who can do multiple positions, and then when they get in the NFL, it's just a little bit too much. So I agree with you right there. Mike, we got Chad Fletcher, $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Chad. Mike, Ant-Man, and Dan from Lions Talk Live are the 3 most honest and real dudes to get Lions content from. Thank you guys for all you do. Thank you so much, Chad Fletcher. $4.99 right there. And that's a combo breaker. Appreciate you. And we get another super chat from Sergeant Curtis Schultz. $10. Again, thank you so much. Thank you for your service, as well as my UK friend. Food is good in Europe. You know what? It can be real good over there. It can be real good over there. Indeedy. Thank you guys. We truly do appreciate it. It's a lot.
When the Lions come over to Europe, you should come over. Like, you come do Europe.
Dude, I know. I've been to Europe. I have. It's funny because I've been to Ireland. But I didn't get to the United Kingdom, so I'd like to go to the UK. If the Lions ever play there, maybe I will. I'll just come up there in a flight over to the United Kingdom, see a little bit of London, and then go ahead and jump on over to the game.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's see. Hashtag FGB. Do you all think we finally got the help Hutchinson needs to get to the quarterback? Devin Davis, and I'm going to tell you from the bottom of what I believe. I'm not going to blow smoke. I'm concerned. I don't know. I'm not saying that it can't be. I'm not saying it's going to be. I just don't know. I'm a little concerned. Was I really excited about the Marcus Davenport signing, that he's going to be the guy opposite of Aiden Hutchinson? Personally, no. I really hope I'm wrong. But what does give me positive vibes, and this is kind of what I'm hanging my hat on, is Terrell Williams, the defensive line coach. If he can come in here and get the best out of these guys, maybe it was coaching, right? Like maybe it was. So that's kind of what I'm hanging my head on, and I hope that is the case. What do you think, man?
In theory, yes. Like, you look at the guys you've got on the team, and in theory, you have. Davenport is an experienced veteran who has played well in the NFL before at a good level. Like, if he stays injury free and gets back to that level of performance, like, you've got a good bookend amongst him. James Houston, we've seen how electrifying he is in the league when he gets going, when he's healthy, when he's on one. Like, he is a game changer as well. And we've even seen it in spurts with Pascal, where he will have a breakout game every now and then, where he will really take it to the opposition. You're like, right, you can just see how much of a difference it makes right away. So theoretically, you have the depth opposite him to cause problems and to be able to, give him more opportunities. Again, the key word is health. All three of them have had injury issues. They've had stop-start careers. We've seen what it did to Romeo, to Julian, to guys like that. The injuries just killed them, stopped them ever gaining any momentum, stopped them developing. Like, that's the worst case scenario here.
Injuries are
they all continue to be start with injuries, and Aiden's not going to have to do it on his own. So in theory, yes. And plus in your interior as well, like, you're really well stacked up against the run. You're going to be able to put them in some horrible situations like we did last year, put them in third and longs, give Aiden more chances to do so. So in theory, yes. It's all about the health with it, though. Someone's got to break out. Like, someone's going to break out on the other side this year. One of Davenport, Houston, or Pascal has to break out this year. And if they do, and if Hutch carries on doing what he does, then we're going to be in a very healthy position, because we have a dangerous pass rush and a really good run defense. But it's all theory until it happens on the field.
You mentioned a name, Joshua Pascal. If he could take that jump, can he take that third-year jump? Look, we've seen other players do that, right? Derek Barnes took a third-year jump. Futu Melifonwu took that third-year jump. Can Joshua Pascal do that? If he can, that would be outstanding. Like, it really would be. We invested a second-round pick in Pascal. Can he help out this defensive line? And again, I'm going to go back to Terrell Williams. That's kind of who I'm watching. I'm really hoping it was the coaching staff last year when it comes to pass rush, and maybe he helps out. We've seen what happens on the offensive line when you have a great coach, right? They all look good. So that's kind of what we're wanting to have happen here. And Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes been praising him. So with their praise, I'm starting to feel a little better about that, because look, Dan Campbell don't BS around. So when he's a little bit psyched, I'm starting to get a little bit hyped. Shift God, do you guys see a scenario with us having some cap space? We could go after someone like Matthew Judon if he is available. Now, I cannot wait for your take on this one. If you guys do not know, the Lions have around $40 million in cap space after the post-June 1, and that is a crap load of money for nearly the season starting in about 2 months. That is some teams don't even have that when the season's over and it's a new fiscal year. We got $40 million. Now, let's take a minute to really talk about this one. Joe, thank you so much for your $5. I'm going to get to it in a second. Let's talk about this, Ant-Man. We got $40 million cap. We're really close to being in a Super Bowl. If you are running this organization, I want to hear the Ant-Man, what he is going to do with this $40 million. Stay pat, invest, trade, rollover. Let me know.
So I'm definitely in the thought of process that we are buyers now. Like, some people said we're not at the point where we can start buying up people or trading for people, etc. I disagree. I think we're close enough now where we are going to be in a position to do so. I think unless someone big is cut in the June cut, when the roster cut downs and that come, I think they might stay pat just for now. Like, again, your defensive line, if like you've bought in Davenport for his potential, what he could be, like uninjured. The same with Houston, the same with Pascal. If you give these guys 5, 6, 7 games next season to see what you have with them, and if it's not quite working, if you're in a bit of a precarious situation, etc., I'd expect them to go out actively and go and get someone, because we're in a very healthy cap situation right now. But I think they'll want to see what they have with their guys first. before on the edge room. Anyhow, I still think they're going to go after a safety. I still would go after a safety at this point. There are a lot of veterans still on the market, high-level guys who could interest us. Simmons is still there. Like, I would be saving a little bit for that if one of these big free agents is still around and wants to go ring chasing at good value. I'd do that as well. But I'd be aggressive with the money. Like, I would, because I think, we're in a good opportunity now. We've got a good young team. We've still got a few contracts to come up. Yes, it depends what you want to do with those guys. Like Taylor and Aleem are the big ones. Got to sort of pay them next year. But I would be aggressive with it. I would be aggressive. I would go to the season with the roster I got now, unless it was a free agent. I won't be trading for anybody or anything just yet, but I'd still look to make additions to a free agency if I could. But I would trade as the season went on if like some of these guys weren't working.
I'm very fiscally responsible person in my personal economics, as well as when it comes to the Detroit Lions. But I got to say, 40 million is a lot. I'm with you. Go get Justin Simmons. At this point, I'm not playing. I think you can go get him. You got the money. You could still roll over and save money. That's just one player, and I think it would make a difference. That type of cash is a lot for this position of a football team. It is extremely rare to have a very good football team have this amount of cap space where they can continue to make it even better. It is rare. So I think that maybe we should take advantage of it at least one time on here. And I know there's going to be players who get cut as well for the 53. So that's something else to look for. But you have 40 million. Let's make sure we get this son of a bitch, right? Like, let's go up there and show the NFL what we can do.
I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, if you are, like, say, if you wanted to go for someone like Justin Simmons, etc., if you wanted to pay them a one-year deal with a bit more money maybe than someone else is offering to shore that up, right? That's gone this year. So just because you're using the cap this year doesn't mean you have it next year. Brad's responsible. Brad will know going forward. Like, our cap is in a wonderful position right now. Even with these big deals coming, the way that Brad's been able to do the roster over and that, we are comfortable in what we're doing. So we can spend it this year on one-year deals with free agents to bring in. Of course you can spend it, because then you could use it again this time next year when you've got to pay Taylor Decker, when you've got to pay Lee McNeil, guys like that. There is nothing stopping you from taking a shot at this year without compromising the future. So, but it all comes down to, is the right guy there? Like, we know this hierarchy very well. Unless it's the correct player, they won't do it. They will stay pat. They won't sign
100%.
They won't sign a damn soul if the right guy's not there. But they would be silly to pass up on one if there was. That would be my level of thinking.
And I concur with Brad Holmes on there. He knows the type of players that he wants in this football team. And I'm always going to defer to Brad Holmes. If he feels like, no, we don't need to, I'll roll with it. If he's like, go get it, I'm 110% with that. So he knows his personnel. He knows his coaching staff. The coaches know their players. They know what they need help at. They know what they don't need help at. So it's absolutely outstanding. Let's get to this super chat really quick. Joe Burnell, $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you for your service, my brothers. What do you expect from our corners this year? Well, Joe, I'll go first here. And I expect the corners to take a significant jump forward. Man, press coverage is going to be exceptional compared to last year. I love what I'm seeing from Carlton Davis and already Terrion Arnold. I don't know what's happened at nickel, but it's going to be a fun fight to watch. And I think Amik Robertson probably eventually get it. And then you got to interact straw. He'll be in and out. This secondary, I think, is going to take a massive jump compared to what it was last year. And now that's not a big, statement, because it was so bad. We were one of the worst in the pass defense last year. So that takes a significant jump forward. And with having DJ Reader, it's going to make the run stop. I think this secondary is going to get some turnovers, and they're actually going to make plays this year. They'll help us win games instead of make it to where it's a shootout. What do you think, man?
So I think overall, when the season is done, we will look back on them having made a lot of progress. Like, our starting corners from the championship game last year are well down the depth chart now. But what people also need to understand, and I think, especially prevalently early in the season, These are 2 brand new guys you've brought in from other teams around the league, and these are 2 rookies. You have an entire new room in terms of your corners, and corner is a very difficult position in terms of, like, we've seen the communication issues we've had here over the years, blown coverages, all that. It's very difficult to gain cohesion, even preseason games, and that it's still difficult. So, and you look at our schedule earlier, like in the first 6 weeks, we face Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Mike Evans, Marvin Harrison Jr., CD Lamb, Justin Jefferson. Like, you are coming up against some of the league's premier wide receivers very early in this season, and it's going to be very tough for them. It's going to be trial by fire. You know, we're playing a lot of good teams this year. That's what first place teams do. So for me, I would expect to see a little bit of early doors. I would expect them maybe to struggle a little bit. Now, that's not knocking them. It really isn't. But again, it's an entire new core, learning the system, playing for this team, learning for the DC. And I think as the season goes on, the talent and the upgrades we've had, that'll prevail. You'll start to see it come together. You'll start to see the plan working. And by the time the season's done, I think you will see the makings of an incredibly good unit going forward for the next 3-4 years, and it will be great. So I expect it to start slower and then get better. And again, that's not a slight on our guys. It's just what happens when you completely change a unit on a team. It takes time to gel.
And thankfully, this change was needed. It can't get worse. So it's only going to be going up. $10 super chat here. And he became a member, Sergeant Curtis Schultz. Thank you so much for that. You're outstanding. And I really do appreciate it, you doing this. Super chats and becoming a member. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. It's Joe all in the reflex. I think something big is going to happen with the Lions, I believe, with the cap space. So he thinks that there could be something big here with the cap space. Now, when I look at this cap space, like I said, I'd love to get a player, but I think they're definite. Maybe they use this a little bit too on Lee McNeil, get that contract done. You talked about Taylor Decker, potentially, right? But what if there is a trade at the trade deadline, right? We're rumored to have a trade at the trade deadline last year. We did get Donovan Peoples-Jones. Wasn't the big name, but if we still have big money and there is an edge pass rusher out there that I don't know, from a struggling team that's on the last year of the deal, and he wants out of there, I would. If he could really upgrade the defensive line, I would. I may do it. What do you think about that, Aman?
I'm fully in agreement. Like, that's where I'm at. Like I say, I think for now, they will scour free agency and they will look to find any more pieces that way. And then as the season progresses, you'll start to see the trade talk. And, you know, like you say, again, a lot of teams are in rough cap situations next year. You know, teams have to start thinking that way. If they're having a rough season, if the cap's done, they'll start jettisoning guys. They'll start getting rid of them. And you can get some really good players out of it. And, you know, last year, we weren't ready, like, to make that jump. Imagine if we'd have given away a second round pick or something last year for someone bigger. We just were not ready.
We're not ready.
We were that little bit short. But this year, we return all our young core. We've lost next to nobody of importance on this team. We've got another good draft class coming. So if you are cooking come trade deadline, like, this is the team now that can go on and win the Super Bowl. Like, I think they've added that little bit of juice they needed. It's maybe just the edge rush. So if you think all you need is a bookend edge to go out and get it, then you will do so. And I know, like, people talk about you've got to keep the window open and that, but you also can't be naive in this business. There will come an opportunity of a season when you're like, right, this is an opportunity and we need to go for it. You can't just naively assume it's going to come back, because hell, like, Jared Goff may get hurt. Jared Goff may regress completely and Hooker might fail. And then we're screwed. Our window's gone completely. You have to be aware that the circumstances are in your favor and you have to go out and take the opportunity. So that is why I would keep the money as it is for now, unless it's in free agency. And then if you get into the deadline, I would use it, because it might be the best opportunity that we get this year. We have one of the best rosters in the NFL, and we're in a position where we can pay all our guys and we're not hemorrhaging talent and losing anybody. So I agree. I do think they will make a big splash come the time, if the circumstances are right.
And they're smart too when it comes to the NFL draft. They're not going to just give up the future either for a player or anything like that. They've been smart with these trades, generally speaking, not doing some crazy, giving up a first round pick or something like that. That would really hamper your franchise going forward, because for us to continue to be good, we still got to draft good every year, right? You got to replace the talent, and you got to. That's how your team's always good. It's young and got quality players, and you can save money with these younger players. So you always got to have those draft picks. But like you said, man, sometimes you got to make a move, because getting to a Super Bowl or winning it's not just that you got to be a good team. That's a part of it. But you got to have luck when it comes to injuries. You got to have luck when it comes to plays. You got to have a little bit of luck when it comes to referees. And I mean, look, we've been to the NFC Championship twice in the Lions franchise. It doesn't happen much. So you're right. Like, you got to kind of sometimes take advantage of it, unlike teams like the Buffalo Bills, who now their window seems to be closing. That's what I'm seeing. They're going in the wrong direction here. And if the Ravens don't do it soon, they're going to be going in the wrong direction here. So we're not at that point right now, right? We're not a team, I think, that's like desperation mode. I think there's a couple desperate teams out there, and they know that, like the 49ers, they got a little bit to go, man, because as soon as they got to pay their quarterback, all these spectacular players are going to be, they're not going to have them all. So I think you got to balance a nice balance right there.
And the other thing you've got to take into account, which is why I'm more in favor of doing work at the deadline now before the start of the season, you've got to give your own players an opportunity as well, because you might be, if you start going out making rash moves now, you are going to block the development of your younger players, who may develop to the point where you don't need to make that move in the first place. Like this year, specifically, there's a few guys who this year is a very big year for. You think Ife Melifonwu, like this is a very big year for him, because I know he had the good end last year, but again, injuries have sort of messed around with him, inconsistent form. He's played well at last. If you get up to deadline time and he's struggling again this year and has regressed, then you've probably got to say that time's over and you've got to move on. And if you need to bring in a big addition at safety or in the secondary to do it, then you do it. You've at least given him the chance to. The linebacker core, no one talks about the linebacker core this year, but like I've been very much in favor of not adding to the linebacker core at the minute, because this year you want to see, is Derek Barnes going to be a big part of my future here? Because, year 3 was a decent year for him. Can he take the step up to starter status this year and be the long-term replacement for Anzalone as we wanted him to be? And Malcolm, you want to see if he can be a part of this team, because his rookie year, he played really well. And then he sat all last year doing loads of special teams work, and that comes in against the Bucs and looks flawless. And it's like, give him his opportunity, because if you can get Barnes and Rodriguez to the point where they're starting and the rotation guys for your team, it's 2 less holes to fill. Instead of going out there rashly and filling it in free agency before the season, you need to give these guys time to audition. And then when you come to the deadline, then you kind of know a lot more and you can make more sensible decisions for the future. So again, that's why I think we should wait a little till then. So same with the edge room. I want to see what they can do first before rashly just chucking Houston and Pascal away and that. Like it's better for us if they get good this year. Then we don't have to go out and pay stupid money for another edge.
100%. And you made up a great point. It's the development. So maybe they were counting on Pascal to develop, counting on some of these guys to develop. And so people like me who are complaining about edge, they're just like, yeah, they don't really know. These guys are developing. I mean, look, Derek Barnes and Iffy are 2 huge examples of that. They came out of nowhere and just been really good. So, I mean, we could have replaced them right before the season start, but they counted on it. These guys stepped up, and that's what it's all about. So you're 110% correct. And it's that balance.
Exactly. Everyone has their own development schedule. We think about Penny and Amon-Ra and these guys who made an impression quite quickly and were all-star players already. Like, not all players follow that trajectory. Like, we've had to take our time with Iffy. Like, if some people had their way, Iffy would be the way of the dodo by now. He'd never have had the opportunity to do that last year. The same with Barnes. He'd have never had his way. And then this year, you're hopefully going to see the likes of Sorsdal and Martin they're going to start
Yes.
taking their steps forward, and it's long-term development into the team. Like, we were in a great situation last year. The fact that Broderick has been able to sit for a year, take it all in, learn, develop, not be rushed
Right.
into the team. If he now comes into this year fully prepared, ready to go, and we've developed him properly, wonderful. Like,
Awesome.
in years past, there's times when we've just lobbed rookies into the team and left them for dead. Sort of. It's sometimes not a healthy thing to play them all the time right away just because they're not ready. It destroys the confidence. It destroys the trajectory of what's going on. Like, we have a nice little balance of players who seem to perform really quick or ones who it just takes a little bit of time with, but it always works in the end.
Broderick's going to be a fun one because if he can't, like, he really changed his body. He really put in the work this offseason. If he can contribute like we think he can, I mean, look, Ali McNeil changed his body, and we've seen what he did. If he could do that, boy, if you could put Broderick Martin between Ali McNeil and DJ Reader and having him coming in and out when players are resting, this team going to be good through 4 quarters. Like, that would be amazing to have something like that, to have the big bodies up front. You can switch them in and out, and it's not much of a difference. That's the ideal plan right there.
I mean, defensive, it's not easy. Like,
Not.
you're coming in against all these big, beefy offensive linemen, like you're getting double teamed, etc., whatever. You saw Aleem. Aleem took time to get involved in this team, and the level of competition he played against college was far superior to anything that Broderick's had to face. Like, Broderick spent 3 years in the FCS, and then he had 1 year in the CUSA, which is like FBS light. The level of competition that he's like, the jump is massive. So it takes time. You can't just throw him in there and expect him to be grappling one-on-one with some great centers and like the guys who are at the top of their game. You've got to learn your technique. You've got to get all that there. And it takes time, especially with the defensive tackles. Like, we're seeing Aleem really get there now. I always knew Aleem would get there. Like, he was great. And it's just a very difficult position to learn. Like, there are very few DTs. Like, how many do you think of instantly that like Pro Bowls first year, stuff like that? Not like wide receivers who are flashy and that. It's, you think of the best you think of the best DTs in the league. You're taking like Donald, or when it was Vita Vea, like these guys who are seasoned, tenured veterans who've been in the league a long time. It takes a lot of time because there is so much. It's all the dirty work. And you don't get any of the plaudits. You don't get the flashy stats. You are grinding for your teammates, and you get very little back out of it. So, for Broderick, like, it was going to take time. And I hate people who get on at him who've been like, oh, he should be in. No, he shouldn't. This is what we should be doing with him. We should be gently bedding him in. We should be getting him in the right shape. We should be getting his technique, bang on before we start throwing him in there. So,
and we talked about that now players who we draft, they're not going to see a lot of playing time compared to years past. And I think people are going to start to get used to that. And they're like, what is going on with Broderick last year? I'm like, look, this team is not the same team. They have a lot of good talent on there. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult for these younger guys to do it. But it's good because it gives them time to develop. Young players need development. And I think in the NFL today, a lot of young players get pushed out there really quick, and it can screw it up. And
especially quarterbacks. No more so than quarterback. Like, you remember the day and age when you would draft a brand new, even if it's at the top of the first, and you'd have a mentor for him. You get him ready for it. You train him properly for it. The best teams are the ones that don't have to rush their rookies in necessarily. Like, fair enough, in Penny's case, when the generational guys, etc. But would Amon-Ra have seen the field if we'd have had like Golladay, Golden Tate, all these guys in the team? Like, no, he wouldn't have. He'd have sat and learned and waited his turn. So you're right. We're in a different position now. But this is good. The fact that Sorsdal's had a year, the fact that Martin's had a year, these offensive linemen to get right, to get their techniques better, to get their body shape better, to do all this, and hopefully in 2 or 3 years from now, when they're both contributing on this team, you're like, actually, they did a good job with them. And it takes time, but we're in a position where we can afford to.
Breaking news right now. Christian McCaffrey just signed an extension. $19 million a year is how much he's going to cost. for the 49ers. It's a lot of money for an older running back. Hey, this is what happens. This is what happens. So he gets it before Brandon Ayuk. Keep doing that, 49ers. Keep on doing that. Smash the hole. Are we still on the hook for Sutton money? Since he was charged and all of that, I believe it was $12 million we owed. This was that post June 1 cut that we just got, and that's where we got our cap space back. So that's why we got all of this cap space. It was that post June 1 cut. I don't know if it continues on for next year. I'd have to look at the cap. I didn't see it for next year. I seen it for this year. That was it.
So the 40 is an assumption that we don't have to pay any of it. I think we're actually at 30 million cap at the minute. The 40 that is now is the assumption that we're not going to have to pay it.
Okay.
So we're off the hook altogether. I think for now, obviously we're still on the hook for some next year because we made it when you post June designate it, that means you push some into next year. So you are on the hook for money next year as well. Obviously, if we don't have to pay it, then we don't. But I think the 40 million is the assumption that we don't have to pay, and I don't think we're going to.
How about you answer this question? I'm going to go find that up for you really quick. So the question is here's Run DMG #FGB. We had an amazing draft class in 23. You always hear the sophomore slump term. Any player you see us taking a step back this season? No, I don't. I don't, and I'm going to let the Ant-Man give you his thoughts as I look for this cap.
I mean, this is tough because what do you take back as regression? Like, if Sam Laporta gets 400 yards this year or 500 yards, is that regression? If he becomes a better receiver, if his technique's better, if his blocking's better, it's is it on the stat sheet? Are we saying regression, or is it regression as a player? Technically, they're all getting better. They're all going to get better with experience. But some of these guys set some high bars. If David Montgomery goes for loads on the ground, the Jameer doesn't get as many carries, and his numbers go down. It's not that he's going to get worse, but it might just on the stat sheet not look as good. For me, when I look at the guys, especially at the top, I see them continuing to get better. I think Laporte is certainly going to get better. Tight end is a position that's constantly evolving. You've constantly got to get it. There's a lot of stuff he needs to learn in the position still, not just as a receiver, but like the way the mindset of these guys are, they're always striving to get better. We've seen it with Amon-Ra. We've seen it with Penny. We've seen it guys who are never happy with how good they are. I think Gibbs is just going to continue to get better. Like, he took a little bit of time to bed into the team last season, but you really start to see him come out there. I think Branch is going to continue to get better. Like, I can't see a world where unless this, because I know he's had the injury issues in the offseason and he was wearing a boot, etc. Unless injury starts to factor in with him a bit and he is playing a little bit hurt, maybe he's going to regress a bit. But outside of that, I think Campbell, I don't want to say can't get worse. Like, that's just really unfair. Out of them all, he was the one who didn't really knock it out the park in year one. But that's not, again, the linebackers. It's it's one of the most difficult positions to learn.
He's actually good in the Sam we've seen at New Orleans. So, and that's where Anzalone's the mic. That's where we seen him in New Orleans, and that's where Anzalone's been at. But he played very good there at that position.
I think, okay, let's just say, if we're going to say a sophomore slump in terms of stats, I think Laporta. Because I just don't think his stats are going to be as high again.
If you're talking stats, it always could be. Like, it always could be down. But if you're talking about a real sophomore slump, like their game fell off, no. I don't think their game is going to fall off. They're just really good players. Now, could their stats be lower? Yeah, for sure. I mean, it could be a little bit different here and there, but I don't think the play is going to change anymore, right? Unless there's an injury, like you said. But that's for anyone. Yeah, injuries always come into a concern. I found out the cap amount. So we are holding over $6.54 million in cap next year, 2025, for Cam Sutton. So that's all we're doing the rollover in 2025 and next year. We have $70,000 in cap space, sixth best in the NFL. This team is ridiculous, man. I don't know how they do it, but we have really good cap space for a good team. Oh my God. It feels like we're the first pick in the draft type of cap space where there's no talent. That's why you have all this cap space, but we have all this talent and all the cap space.
I mean, the wonderful thing was, and the way Brad set it up, before we started giving out the big deals, like earlier this offseason, we had like, what, 3 guys who were earning 10 plus million a year. Like the amount of big contracts on the books was completely minimal. And losing Cam Sutton has erased another one of those off the books. So we're in a position where so few guys are actually earning massive money. Like it was Goff, Ragnar, and I can't, was it Decker maybe, who would have been earning like over 10 million or something this year. That's your quarterback, your left tackle, and the best center in the NFL. That's really great. So even with giving out all these big deals, we're still set up well because we weren't carrying a lot over to begin with. Like there were no big contracts mucking our system up because Brad just effectively reset everything. I mean, we're carrying what, 26, 27 million in debt this year as well. We've had to do a few bits and bobs. So that's going to clear next year as well. You're going to get that back. It's been incredibly well thought of going forward. It just gives us flexibility to, like, we can re-sign Decker and McNeil and we can still go out and get other guys as well. Now we need to, of course, look at the rookies coming in future. Like Hutch is going to be up at some point, J-Mo, depending on whatever happens. But we're very, very healthy right now, which is why I think we can afford to be aggressive and still look towards the future with fiscal responsibility.
There's the cap space right here, folks. Nearly 70 million. And then you have Cam Sutton. That's all he's going to be part of. So it's honestly not bad.
And if we don't have to pay him, that gets voided, and we don't have to pay that at all. So you add another 6 million on.
Yeah. So I mean, we're good. Cap space fiscally, we're killing it right now. And you got to love it. Lisa DeLorenzo says, #Lions. Is anyone else nervous about Broderick Martin? Reports on him in OTAs have not been great, even though he's changed his body type. Here's the thing, though, Lisa, when it comes to the defensive linemen and OTAs, it's really difficult to judge anything. They're not running into each other. They're not doing that. So all you can really do is kind of do individual drills, and that's really show what they can do because you can't hit. You can't do the stuff you need to do for defensive linemen. That's why it's like mini camp and then training camp is more for me. Like I pay a little bit more attention to the defensive line there and compared to anything in the OTA. So I don't know how he's doing. I won't know until I'm there. I can't be there right now. I don't know. Am I concerned about Broderick? No, I'm not really concerned. I think he can only go up, in my opinion. Even if it's not like a big drastic up move, I think it's going up in the right direction because they didn't do anything last year. He looks much better this year. He's faster. We'll see what he can do. What do you think about Broderick? Do you got hopes for him?
I have like 0% worry about him. And again, I have to take it back to where he's come from and where he's going. Like we drafted him for what he could potentially be at the next level. He's got the right attributes. He's got the right mentality. He's got everything he needs. But this jump up is massive. And it's so hard to understate just how high it is. And I know people will be saying, well, he's not doing well, but Betts is doing very well. But there's no Decker. There's no Ragnar. There's no Zeitler. It's all right when you're wheeling the second, third stringers, fourth stringers, guys who aren't going to be on the roster out there. But I take so little away from OTAs. They say it's just pads. Yes. It's just conditioning. It is just getting in shape. I don't put one little lick of stock into how players are playing during OTAs. It's just for content and stuff like that. And people can say, oh, they're not doing well. They're not, I don't care. They're not in pads. I don't know. Yeah. Till they're in pads. I don't know how good his technique is. I don't know, the fundamentals about him. But year 2 for Broderick should be about starting to see the field. Like year 3 is where he should be a major part of this team. That was always going to be the thing with him. So this year is about seeing tiny steps forward and getting him on the field a bit more and just seeing the plan come into place with him. I have zero worry about OTAs right now. Let's see when pads get on where he's really at.
And we can do the opposite of that. You could be great in OTAs, great in training camp, great in practice.
Tom Kennedy.
When the lights turn on, you suck. We have seen that multiple times where there's players in training camp that you're just like, you're hearing, you're raving about. And then the preseason comes, drop. drop. You're like, yeah, there it goes. So it's a different mentality in practice than it is with the lights on. So I like the end all be all is to me is gameplay. So even if we hear they're doing great, I'm waiting to see gameplay. Like that's what I really want to see because
Yeah.
I've been doing this for a long time. Where this player is doing great in training camp, great. Oh man, this guy's going to be outstanding. Then
I mean,
game day comes.
they've just had months off. Like they're not in game shape. They are the furthest thing from game shape that they're ever gonna be. Now you think of some of the guys on the fringes who they might be in game shape because it might be their only chance to make the roster. Broderick's going to make the roster this year. Broderick's going to be part. He doesn't need to be 100% right now. He doesn't need to be knocking it out the park right now. There is a long time to go in this process. Like you said, every year, Tom Kennedy, best player in OTAs. What did he do? Nothing. Like we see it every year. There's an undrafted free agent who plays really well, and then nothing. It's I'm in favor of doing what the NFLPA want to do and just getting rid of OTAs and stuff, having a longer training camp, stuff like that. I just outside of conditioning, I just think it's pointless and does nothing. And there's too many sensationalist things that come out of it. Especially we're a target now. People are going to try and find targets on this team, and they're going to try and get like people like the hooker. Have you seen the hooker discourse going around? Like there's people, so like no, in like Lions fandom, there's so many people like, oh, he's going to be starter, oh, he's not going to be. It's almost like a Warfield where it's like, why?
I don't understand why. Yeah,
exactly. But we're a target now. We're in the national light. People are going to start picking on players and start trying to do stuff with it. Nothing right now matters at all. Bar them staying healthy and getting in shape. That is literally it. When you start getting to training camp, when you start getting into joint practices, when you start getting to preseason, that is when you look at the play on the field. Until then, I just want them to stay healthy and get in shape. That's literally it.
Healthy, shape. Those are the two good things here. Jack Campbell had the most tackles in the playoffs, and I think he is his. I love Jack Campbell first. I cannot wait in a couple years where he's going to be fully developed, and it's going to be so awesome to see him in the middle of that field. And he's awesome. I love Jack Campbell. Great in the run game. That's what he does. And he's just getting better and better. I'm really excited for Jack Campbell. I know that a lot of people don't put him in the great draft because you had Gibbs and you had Laporta and Branch. But folks, those players had like a rookie season that doesn't happen that much. Like it's super rare. So Jack Campbell, he didn't stand out like those three. Does not mean he's bad. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean it at all. Just those guys were just insane good.
And again, it's linebacker is such a cerebral position. There's so many things you've got to do there. Like it takes time for them to, even for the best ones. Like you're going to be a future leader. He's going to be the future green dot. Like he's going to be the guy for your defense for the next 10 years. Like that doesn't come in a rookie year. We've seen Barnes. Barnes has taken his sweet time about it, but he's had to transition from doing a lot of stuff as an outside linebacker to coming inside, and you're finally starting to see that pay off. But it's taken 3 years. But still, if you see the project through to the end and he does well, then it's worth it. Like the linebackers, they take so long. You've just got to be patient with them. And that certainly wasn't a slight at Jack earlier. I think he's going to be tremendous. But he's going to progress to the eye, like to the fancy stuff, slower than the other guys, but he could be better than the lot of them by the time that he's done.
AG just came to the chat, Spirit of Detroit podcast. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. Good friend of mine. AG, you're welcome on anytime I go live, whether it be my channel or this channel. Anytime you are part of Lions Nation Unite, you can come on every single time. You can come on no time. Just let me know. I know it's been a little bit busy for me as of late, because I'm transitioning. I'm building a little studio here. Plus, I go to my lady's house and spend time with them and their family. So that's really it. But you're allowed on anytime. Don't even need to ask. It's just already on there. I just somehow need to get you hooked up into the Twitter feed with the rest of the fellows. And once I get you hooked up to the Twitter feed, all I do is I post a link in there. You just come on if you want to come on. So you're welcome anytime. Remind me, send me a Vox or a message to set up the Twitter to get you on there, so it's just automatically sent to you. Appreciate it. Lisa says that she is concerned about the depth at defensive tackle. Look, I totally get it, and you want to see Broderick Martin step up to make that depth better, right? I think we all do. I absolutely, and I'm not that concerned about it, Lisa. I do think that Broderick is going to play more of a role this year. I do. And I think with Terrell Williams, you're going to see some of the other defensive linemen, wherever the DTs or edge, because John Kaminsky's of the world did the Joshua Pascal step up a little bit more. I do think there was a issue with coaching, and they made the move and they addressed it. That's what I'm hoping on. My fingers are crossed that that's the case, because if it is, I don't know how this team could be even better than what I expect, right? If this defensive line blows up, oh my God, like it could be great for Detroit. So it's just a wait to be seen. We've been on for nearly an hour, and I got my man Ant-Man here. Ant-Man, tell the folks where they should find your channel.
So yeah, you can find us at Roar of the Lions UK. We are a group of Detroit Lions fans from over the pond here in Old Blighty. So if you want to come and check us out, see it all from a British perspective, then come find us. Roar of the Lions UK. We're live Mondays. I do a college show Wednesdays. We'll be live Thursdays during the season. So yeah, we'll be happy to have you there, and we'll have a chat with you.
110%. And with that said, folks, adios.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan. Your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be fucking sour. Take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder. Work until you're prouder. And all the doubters, they're just young downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.